Hey y'all, the unexpected wonder here once again with another edition of my Let's Talk series. And I will say this before I forget: whenever you see the tag in one of my videos saying Let's Talk, I'm just gonna be brutally honest with y'all. That's it. I'm always 1,000 with y'all, but no love lost, no love found, all that jazz. Anyways, and I believe this subject, I was gonna do this later. But this is as great a day as any to talk about this subject of steroids, PEDs, and the like. Oh, and sports, yeah. Steroids, PEDs, and sports. Yeah. First and foremost, let me say this to get all this foolishness out the way. I do not promote nor necessarily agree with the use of steroids, PEDs, okay? Performance enhancing substances. They say performance enhancing drugs, performance enhancing substances. I'm not necessarily agreeing with that. I wouldn't tell anybody to do it because number one, because of what it can do to your body, okay? That's my main reason. What it can do to your body. Now, what they can do to your body. Now, and also, let me say this. I do not say that high school students nor college students, high school athletes, college athletes, should even be considered using these substances. I mean, first of all, most what I say, because of your health. Secondly, because who says you're gonna make it to the next level anyway? Most people just don't. That's just factual. That's irrefutable. Numbers don't lie. Now, this is just for professional athletes, Olympic, all that. You understand, all the leagues and all that. Let's just stick with that. Now that we gotten all that out the way, so I don't hear all the foolish. I've heard all them arguments. No, get them out of the way, and we deal with the real issue: professional sports. What we talk about? Professional sports, supposedly the best of the best. Americans, number one. That's because that's who I guarantee most talk about this subject. Americans are so hypocritical. I'm talking about in general as a whole here. When it comes to a subject like this, you got the purism coming out of it. What I mean by that, the purity of the sport. Okay, it's the same excuse that's used in college football and other such things. Just bringing that out. Okay, college sports in general. Why why college students shouldn't get paid. But again, that's another subject for another day. You get the purism come out. You get the mythicism coming out. You get pretty much just prejudice, hypocrisy, all that there. Sports, I do separate it from other parts of life, but it is still a part of life. With sports, I often say, along with music and a few other things, sports, it showcases reality. Sports are life, okay? The life embodied, okay? With performance enhancing substances, what it does is it showcases what's really going on in society, in culture, and in regular life. Okay, it goes along with the ridiculous things of the different substances, illegal or legal. Okay, stay with me for a second here, and then I'll continue really with just the PEDs themselves. In regular life, you have caffeine is illegal, sugar is legal, alcohol is legal, tobacco is illegal, prescription pills, which many of which have opiate derived, opium, which morphine, heroin comes from. Oh, morphine's legal as well, because of certain use. Different substances are used, and we have the death rates, even though certain other substances, which some I can understand being illegal, but other hardcore substances, and then you have cannabis, which is a whole different thing, is illegal. But the death rate just isn't there. The same thing is we have in sports. You have different substances. I mean, you have all these muscle enhancers, these different, not necessarily health food, not your fruit juice. I'm not talking about them things. I'm talking about you can get it in GNC. You can get it in these different places. These muscle building substances. Those aren't illegal. But they do pretty much the same thing. But think about this. These substances, creatine, all these substances do pretty much the same thing. But they're fine to use. But other substances, they're not okay to use. It gets one to question, what is up with these? Now, from my position with professional athletes, number one, first and foremost, we build in this day and age. It's been a long time coming, especially in this day, the last 2 to 3 decades, especially now. We build up athletes to be gods. We build them up to be demigods, whatever you prefer. Why do I say this? Look at them. We build them up to be. We put them on pedestal. We got your Tiger Woods in golf. You know, you got LeBron James now. It used to be Michael Jordan. You got Kobe Bryant at one time. You got Alex Rodriguez in the current case. You got you had Mark McGwire, Barry Bonds, Sammy Sosa. You know, the list goes on and on. You had Wayne Gretzky. I mean, I can list off a handful of athletes. Oh, Lance Armstrong, beautiful example as well. We build up these athletes to be heroes, role models to our children. Yet when we find them to be human and to make mistakes, we tear them down. I'm sorry, the last time I checked, we paid athletes to be good at their craft. We didn't pay these people to be moral. No, they're not pastors, preachers, you know, them kind. You know, your rabbis, you know. They're not politicians, and politicians, that's the funny part about that. We expect morality, but then we don't expect morality. We allow politicians to lie. But again, another subject for another day. You know, these athletes aren't teachers. They're not people, you know, they're not supposed to be your police officers, your firemen, all this. All these people who are supposed to be upstanding citizens. They're athletes. We pay them to be great at their craft, to be phenomenal, you know, physical specimens, you know, Herculean, Adonis, you know, Amazonian. We pay them to excel in sports. And then what do we require in this day and age? Perfection. If you need an example of perfection and nitpicking, LeBron James and Miami Heat. Do I need to go further? We nitpick when somebody isn't perfect. Oh, they screw. Every person won't have a strong, you know, you can't be great in everything. Even if you're great, even if you're legendary, you're going to fall, you're going to have flaws in something. It's just how it is. That's the life. But no, we want perfection. So, we want perfection. We want godlike characters. Okay? We want legendary figures. We want facial recognition. Understandably, that's human facial recognition. So what do? We try to make men gods. Some of these characters, whether it be male or female, usually males, they want to get an edge. Okay? They want to get an edge. So they use substances to help build muscle. That's what it does. Look here. First of all, when we talk about baseball, for example, muscle makes you move slower. The bigger you are, makes you move slower. Okay? Yeah, it might give you more power maybe to hit a ball a bit farther, but you need technique. You need the adequate skills. Because trust me, I played baseball. Baseball ain't easy. Ain't easy hitting the ball. It doesn't help you. Performance enhancing drugs do not correlate to actual skills. That's factual. You get your guys juicing up. It doesn't necessarily make you stronger either. You understand what I'm saying, ladies and gentlemen? Am I promoting it? No. But I'm bringing facts. The fact that we hammer in on somebody using substances. Now, get this also. If you want to bring it, this stuff isn't anything new. Leagues have been letting this stuff go on for years upon years. They have been built upon these substances. Professional wrestling. Entertainment wrestling, I should say. Because it's not really really wrestling like you usually think about normally. Steroid users. People knew. Unnatural build. People knew. But let them go. A lot of times these different users aren't caught in substance and on failed tests or none of that. Just being real. So what are we going on? We're going on hearsay of people who we know have lied, people we know have done some shady deals. This is like with the prison system. We use snitches. Now, I'm not saying they ain't telling the truth, but it gets shady. We're relying on, the A-Rod situation. I bring it up. Beautiful time to bring it up, like I said. In the A-Rod situation, he admitted to using some in years past. Okay? Before y'all were cracking down and persecuting the substances. And let me deal with baseball real quick, because baseball be killing me, man. I could talk so many things about the the hypocrisy in baseball in of itself, But I'll just stick with this one real quick. Baseball, the 80s, 90s, mainly the 90s, the steroid era, right? You were in the decline. You were suffering financially, especially. But then you had these figures come out of the era of the long ball game, which you hadn't had in decades. You had McGuire, you had Sammy Sosa, you had Barry Bonds. The era of the long ball. Y'all was making that money. Y'all was selling these tickets. Y'all were putting these people, pushing them as faces, right? Come down to the 2000s, killing. Then you're going to persecute the same figures you put up. Humans need facial recognition. You know what I'm saying? Baseball on the decline. So what do you have? You had teams, you had coaches and whatever pushing the uses of these substances. You have these athletes partaking, or not even knowing they're partaking in these substances. You get more figures, and we find out most of these were users. Baseball allowed for that to happen. Baseball was celebrating the use of it. It was. Baseball knew what was going on, and they want to say, "Oh, the union to lead the players." Oh, don't give me all that. Y'all could have done things. But you can't. The old saying, you can't have your cake and eat it too. You can't celebrate and get fat and rich off of the use of substance. They're trying to come down hard on certain figures that you yourselves promoted. Okay. Now baseball is suffering. People are in denial when they hear me. Some people are in denial when they hear me say this. Baseball is suffering and is on the decline. They don't even have. I remember watching just recently this star pitcher for the New York Mets went around. Mets fans, except one, went around on the street, didn't even recognize the cat. You're lacking in facial recognition because all your stars, people are lack. Amongst other problems that I've mentioned in the past, and I'll probably mention again about the problems with baseball in of itself right now, at least professionally, there isn't really any facial recognition. You suffer, MLB, you suffer for lack of facial recognition because you put up, you're called fraud, and you want to say they were cheaters and different stuff. What did you require of them? Your long seasons, the stats and records, all the games you play. Baseball, higher ups, all the games you play. But then you want to try to be pilot and wash your hands of the stuff you helped create. Just being real. And it ain't like substances aren't anything new in baseball. No. We got speed and stuff back in the day. I'm talking about back in the day. Baseball has a dirty past. But so does pretty much every sport. Dirty. These what that's just what it is. And another thing I would like to address. You have people talk about the Olympics and all this. And they want to go back to say, oh, first of all, the Olympics in the modern era started as amateur athletes. They weren't even professional athletes. For the longest time, they weren't even professional athletes. And Americans actually, it wasn't until, I'm not bragging American, this is factual stuff here. Wasn't until recently that Americans, recent era, like 80s, allow professional athletes to participate in the Olympics. Okay? So once the professional circuit, once it went professional, most of the stuff went out the window. It just went out the window. Okay? It's not amateur anymore. You understand what I'm saying? It is not amateur. Professional is a whole different element. This is what people are doing for a living. This is the best of the best. We require the best of the best. We require at times superhuman abilities. Okay? And to maintain that superhuman stature, can't have an off day, can't have an off race, can't have an off meet, right? Think about it. Now, some people wanna say, oh, the Greeks didn't. First of all, we don't even know the Greeks who pretty much invented the Olympics. We don't know what the Greeks used. Okay, look back to their sports. Some of their stuff was brutal, and I can get on the brutality. The people who are against the barbarian aspect of certain sports, especially in the martial arts concern. Some of their sports were brutal, man. They would be running, fighting naked, just being real. Okay, that's what it was. We don't know what they used, and I guarantee you, knowing the Greek culture at the time, they would have used anything they could. They would have doped up. Guaranteeing you, they would have doped up. That's history. That's factual. We try to romanticize and sugarcoat and put a fairy colored glasses on. It don't work like that in reality, ladies and gentlemen. And also, this my last point, and I could say so many things about this, and I've had so many discussions about this. But this is my last point that I'll keep it just, try to keep this video as brief as I can. I read an article, it was in my English Comp 2 class, okay, talk about over a year ago, whatever. English Comp 2 class, right? That's English Composition 2 for those who don't understand. And the article was talking about how in grad school and certain grad school students and I believe professors were using, I think, Adderall and a few other substances like that to what they call mind enhancing, okay, mental enhancement, whatever, where these substances allowed them to stay awake pretty much all night, stay up. People drink coffee, mind you, that people drink coffee on the daily. Coffee is like the most common consumed beverage in the States. Let's keep that in mind. Why do they use it? It's a substance. It's a drug. Okay, caffeine's up in there. Energy drinks. I don't mind drinking energy drinks myself. Tea. All these substances, they should keep you going. Keep your mind alert or whatever. So they use these different substances. Some say it even enhances their capacity to learn. I guarantee you, 9 out of 10 people say nothing wrong with that. Nothing's wrong. Because you want our teachers to do their best. You don't want them falling down on their jobs, right? Nah, because they're the instructors of our children, of our next generation. They need to be on their toes. See, the thing about it is, you got to understand, and my conclusion of this whole thing, this whole subject, I call it ridiculous, okay? This whole subject, this whole thing about performance enhancing substances. Think about it. Performance enhancing. Enhance. Do people understand what the term means? Enhance. The whole thing is, it goes back in deep roots to the American culture. We want to be the best. Hands down, we want the best. And if we can't have the best, we're going to do everything in our possibility to reach that. It's a greed. It's an envy. It's deep-rooted stuff, ladies and gentlemen. It's deep-rooted. It's deep-rooted in American culture. If we didn't require that people, walk this very thin line, we throw morality out the window, but at the same time, we expect people to act moral and upstanding and all that. Our culture is so hypocritical, is what I'm saying. We enjoy the luxury of immorality, but at the same time, we lay down a hammer when immorality is enjoyed. We allow for it, but then we don't allow for it. We celebrate it, but then we shame it. Double think, as George Orwell would say. Okay? And like I say, in my conclusion, my final statement, in this Alex Rodriguez statement, I will say this. And A-Rod is a scapegoat. Number one, A-Rod is a scapegoat. Okay? This whole situation is the league trying to cover their ass. That's what they're trying to do. Cover their behind. The Yankees aren't trying to pay that money, because that's all that matters in this day and age, is money anyway. I mean, let's be real. The Yankees don't want to pay that money because they made a dumb, stupid, idiotic contract with the man who was an aging veteran. They thought he was going to still keep producing and producing. Come on, man. The man's getting older. They gave a boatload of money, and now they don't want to burn. Well, I'm sorry. You got to pay the piper. You got to reap what you sow. You sometimes got to get burned. That's life. But no. Baseball's like, can't have that. And I'm not trying to make this all about baseball, but it's been constantly in the news for baseball. And I said final statement, and I guess a correlation. I've said it when the whole thing about Lance Armstrong came off. I'll say this. Like I said before, people could say, "Oh, this and that." Now, if he intimidated, whatever, whatever, he was wrong for doing that. Okay, incriminate him on trying to, do a mafia. If he did it, do a mafia style thing on other athletes who most of them were juicing anyway. I've heard one of my friends say that at one of the Tour de France, the top 20 were juicing. The top 20. Lance Armstrong was the scapegoat as well. We want to demonize this man, who we put as a hero, who we put as a god. Okay? You can't take away, this man came back from cancer, whatever. You can't take away the fact that he won 7 consecutive Tour de France titles. You can't take this stuff. You cannot manufacture. There are certain feats. People want to talk about Barry Bonds and Alex Rodriguez. You can't manufacture 500 plus home runs. That takes skills. Now, am I saying what they did necessarily was right? No. But what I'm saying, that these different athletes who we celebrated because of their great accomplishments, because we knew that they might have been using certain means to an ends that were not necessarily agreeable, but we celebrate them anyway. Now we want to demonize these same individuals. It makes no sense. It makes no logical sense, ladies and gentlemen. It really doesn't. It really doesn't. At the end of the day, Americans and people worldwide, but namely Americans, we got to sit back and think about what our values are, what we truly value. Okay? We got to sit back and think, we love sports. We know we give so much money to sports. But yet we say, why are athletes so well paid? Well, what do we require of these athletes? And not all of them are as well paid as what we think about. You understand? We need to think about how the systems are set up, how our culture is set up. At the end of the day, think. Think. And performance enhancing substances, they're not going to go anywhere. Okay? We're persecuting certain individuals. That ain't going to stop anything. Because once you've opened up Pandora's box, it's over with. Hey, y'all. Like, comment, subscribe. Tell me y'all thoughts. Have a beautiful day, beautiful night.